the 5th of March, Yatagarasu was revealed to the community to become the next big extreme demon, which would top the list and have dominion over GD difficulty from there on out. However, within months of this revelation, GD changed significantly with a huge shift in the balance of power among players, and from it, something else arose that challenged, competed and matched the project, eventually going beyond it to eclipse it. The beating of Bloodbath was a turning point in GD in many ways, but its biggest arguable consequence was the sequel extension it inspired, which has dominated the community for the last year and a half. Few levels over the last 18 months have been as inspiring, coveted, acclaimed and controversial as Bloodlust, and perhaps there never will be any others like it. Today, on the first day of its new life as a rated demon, we are going to be recapping the events that led to this grand level being created and manifested into the community, and I'll be telling in detail the story of Bloodlust, so sit back, hit the lights and enjoy. On March 13th, American GD player Quasar became the first person to complete Bloodbath, the most famous demon by YouTube standards in GD history, in an eventful race with another great player of GD. The first victor had been found some 7 months after Bloodbath was released, and so the community was inspired, including the man himself. With Yatagarasu on the horizon and players who now had the capability to beat harder levels, the community began to reach for the stars. On March the 22nd, Riot revealed Sonic Wave Infinity, a redesigned dark remake of Sonic Wave, an infamously hacked demon by his great rival Cyclic. This reveal prompted what many believe to be the start of the rebirth trend, a period in which several of 1.9's hardest unreleased levels were revived, redecorated and restored. Many believe Sonic Wave Infinity went some way to inspiring the new Bloodbath champion and his creating counterpart, but on March the 25th, the budding creator Manix revealed a rebirth of Bloodbath on his channel. It's worth mentioning that this came 3 days after Mafui's infamous 98% fail on Sonic Wave, and with so much potential for levels harder than Bloodbath, many projects were started over the coming weeks, most of which have now failed and died over the past year and a half. At this point in time, Manix only had 2,000 subscribers, but he was growing fast. His crowning achievement, Fusion, mixed amazing effects with fun and intuitive gameplay and gained the attention of Riot, Andromeda and Zobros among others. He was quickly becoming well known as one of GD's best upcoming creators. He opened his own creator contest, he had parts in Yatagarasu and Artificial Ascent, and he was preparing a sequel to Fusion. He was pumping out new, amazing decorative styles incredibly quickly. Many did not like the idea of this rebirth, however. After Sonic Wave Infinity and the foundations for Sonic Wave Rebirth in place, many quickly tired of rebirths and wanted some originality in the new upcoming potential for GD. Something more than a rebirth would be required. On April the 2nd, Manix showed a preview of Michigan's part being redesigned, and 7 days later he showed the UFO and ball parts of the original Bloodbath being replaced by a swing copter, inspired by Hein's part in Yatagarasu, which had popularised swing copters into the big professional extreme demons. Yet more interesting things were alluded to. At the start of Etsa's part, a demon design was shown, and the progress bar alluded to perhaps a longer level. At this point, Xenity and many others were mulling over the idea of an extended Aftermath remake to be verified by CeruZ, and so extensions on At-Soul levels were a hot topic. It was becoming an increasingly poorly kept secret that this remake might feature a gameplay extension. On April the 15th, Quasar previewed Bloodlust for the first time on his channel, grossing over 70,000 views. At this point we saw the beginning had its gameplay replaced, and we saw several extreme buffs on Michigan's part to a near impossible level. Quasar also confirmed the extension rumours and explained it would be 50 seconds longer and far harder at every stage. On April the 18th, Manix showed us his original part in the level, the first part of the extension. He also confirmed the new name for the Rising Beast to be Bloodlust. His work even received praise from GD's fallen star, Knobbelboy. An interesting fact here, however, is that a lot of Manix's part was made of Wio unused gameplay in Yatagarasu, and Bloodlust would go on to have several parts recycled from other levels. On April the 30th, Manix showed the final cutscene he had designed, thus ending a month of previews and hype building. Following this, he began several other projects: Auditory Breaker, Blade of Justice, Fusion Z, 3 ambitious projects, all 3 of which it can be argued failed. On May the 6th, the level was extremely close to being finished, and Quasar was incredibly excited to get started. He set himself a minimum 40,000 attempt investment in the level and claimed it was as hard as Yatagarasu, at the time unnerfed and bordering on the impossible. By this point, the level was gaining traction, fan support and notoriety far faster than Yatagarasu, which was sidelined by Riot somewhat in favour of other projects. And the influx of attention also brought negative opinions such as doubt. Many began to view the level as potentially impossible, and the negative press began to sow the seeds for Quasar's downfall. By May the 24th, Quasar had spent the best part of a month practicing the finished product, but was tied up with his final exams and schoolwork. However, he still found time to occasionally upload and frequently reassured his fans in comment threads that he was practicing and progressing with time. However, for the large majority of the coming 2 months, not a lot happened. On June the 25th, Quasar verified Lemonskate, just one of the other non-Bloodlust projects he had prioritised instead, as he claimed he was letting his fingers heal from playing Geometry Dash too much. More negative rumours and doubt began to spread, but he remained persistent. On July the 6th, however, GD's latest success story and rising star, Truster, took a copy of Bloodlust and began practicing it, making decent progress with a fantastic reception from his growing audience. It's pretty ironic, given how now, taking levels before general release is such a contested, divisive crime in the community. However, Truster's progress pumped new life into the level and promoted rumours he would take over. Quasar again avidly denied these rumours, but people both assumed and asked that Truster be on reserve for Quasar if he couldn't fulfil the duty. He battled against the rumours and speculation for a further month, but on August the 15th he did what many thought he was always going to do. He dropped Bloodlust. In his goodbye message he even elaborated on mental health problems he was facing aside from his schoolwork and heavy workload. At this point, Quasar's involvement ended. The man who was the entire engine behind the project had left, and Bloodlust was up in the air without a verifier. Of course, many highlighted instantly Truster to be the next verifier. This came but one day after his Sakupen Hell victory too, an eventual new #1 demon for the community. However, Truster was handpicked by CeruZ, another great and early Bloodbath victor who was stepping down to inherit Yatagarasu, a much more established and prolific project. On September the 2nd, Truster was named the official Yatagarasu verifier and went his separate way. Bloodlust was left without a verifier and had been for nearly 2 weeks. Many thought the level would die, and with capable verifiers incredibly scarce, it seemed there was no other way. However, there was someone who had been rising up and improving as both a player and creator who was keen to step in and save the level, a Dutch player by the name of Knobbelboy. Knobbelboy had spent 2016 rising up and improving after acquiring a 144Hz monitor. In May, he became one of the first to beat the Hell Factory by Team N2 out of nowhere, a then top 10 Extreme Demon, and he then added the 2 Cataclysm levels to his name. This came alongside building amazing levels such as Dark Rainbow Rebirth and the Furious, and his rise seemed to peak when he became the 10th victor of the #1 demon that started it all, Bloodbath. Knobbelboy's productivity had seen him initiate several new hard projects, Armageddon, Death Corridor Finale, etc., but all of them were dwarfed by the potential for a huge project. Knobbelboy offered his ability to Manix, and though it was a spurious choice for a lot of the community, on September the 4th, Knobbelboy was named Bloodlust's official verifier. Quite a few people doubted Knobbelboy in the beginning, and so he quickly set about silencing his critics. On September the 8th, he got 36%, a very fast-paced gain that attracted over 70,000 views. This fresh lease of life restored the hype in Bloodlust, with Knobbelboy confident he could see it through fairly quickly. By the 21st, he went from 65% to 92%, completing the newly implemented extension. Both Knobbelboy and Truster made significant progress on their respective tasks within the first month. He quickly branched out after, building a part for Fusion Z while maintaining some other projects. There would be a fair wait for his next progress video, but it would be worth it. On October the 18th, he got 43%. He was progressing fast and well, however the true extent of his grinding had been revealed. He had invested over 44,000 attempts in Bloodlust after only 44 days of having it. This slipped under the radar slightly, but I believe Knobbelboy had set himself up to burn out. However, a break would be coming from the level, as in mid-November, a new #1 demon was released, a Thanatos. With such a menacing project, Knobbelboy was expected to demonstrate his ability to be able to beat the hardest contemporary demons outside of Bloodlust, and in fairness to him, he rose to the table fantastically, becoming only the second behind Sonix to beat it only a week after its release. Towards the end of November, he returned to Bloodlust, and on November the 30th, he got 52%. This was a monumental new best, having passed the halfway point. He was slowly being driven insane after 55,000 attempts, however, and released a poll on Twitter asking if he should nerf it. The community decided against it marginally, and so he started to take more frequent leisurely breaks for the sake of his sanity. Hence, that would be the last Bloodlust progress we would see in 2016, a busy and fundamental year for Geometry Dash. When 2017 began, Knobbelboy opened his account with a new project, Artificial Ideology. On January the 3rd, Knobbelboy strengthened his good relationship with the Korean creating team Team N2 by verifying their third and what eventually came to be their final map. After beating the Hell Factory, he won a lot of favour from them and was enlisted to help redesign and verify an art and buff update to their first level as it slipped out of the demons list. However, this was soon cancelled. but he picked up their third level, which had been in waiting for about a year after Riot dropped the level to retire. He verified it and made short work of it, again demonstrating his ability to beat the hardest demons and verify what no one else had been able to in a year-long period. It diverted him from Bloodlust, but fans agreed that it was a worthy cause, to end a year-long wait for this other, dying level. In February, round about a year ago exactly, Knobbelboy returned to Bloodlust and achieved 63%, finally making it past Etz's part. He was feeling confident and claimed it would not go on much longer. On March the 2nd, he got 68%, actually passing the Bloodbath part finally and making it to the extension. This was another coveted video with over 100,000 views and 5,000 likes. By the end of the month, he recorded a run of 65 to 100, the entire extension part. Progress was slow, but sure and steady, and began to pick up traction again. However, something else would come into the mix that would completely change everything. A need to operate away from Bloodlust, combined with a stroke of artistic inspiration, combined with a great harmony of playing and creating skill, bred a level that would assure Knobbelboy's career for life, and would soon bring him attention and fame on a scale not even Bloodlust had been able to live up to. On April the 16th, Knobbelboy revealed his second preview for his upcoming solo level, God Eater. The first preview had received a bit of attention but nothing major. However, this quickly exploded for its amazing design, unique gameplay and epic song, and I don't say exploded lightly. The video received around 400,000 views very quickly, and subsequently Knobbelboy became one of the most famous and relevant players in the community. God Eater was being branded left, right and centre as the best level ever made, and became quickly the centre of a dicey video theft debate, with hundreds trying to latch on to the trickle-down effect of views it was promising. In the meantime, Knobbelboy blew up and raced past 30, 40 and 50,000 subscribers. He had always modelled himself on his catchphrase, the Dutch GD player that you kind of know, but this quickly turned into the Dutch GD player that everybody knew. His monthly views climbed to the very near million mark, and he began to lay the foundations for his future as a more established veteran player of the game. He agreed to take on Orochi, a new super hard near impossible demon by Platnu, and with God Eater gaining hype, Bloodlust began to feel like a side note amid the fame, hype and appreciation Knobbelboy was facing. At this point, nobody thought he had taken too long either, and so Bloodlust became secondary briefly, while Knobbelboy began to enjoy life as GD's biggest and most appreciated superstar. Despite this, progress continued to be made here and there. On June the 6th he reached 76% after a month and a half of inactivity, but publicly revealed that he'd finally topped the 100,000 attempt mark. While progress had slowed, he was beginning to get consistent. However, nothing could have prepared him for what happened 3 days later, when out of nowhere Knobbelboy recorded the biggest fail in GD history when he died at 97% and again at 98%. The video blew up again and has recently topped 1 million views. It continued to propel Knobbelboy's extreme subscriber growth. However, this really rammed home just how hard he'd been working to be so unlucky, and it rubbed salt into over 1,000 hours of wounds. Knobbelboy was demoralised, and despite a few long streams over the coming days, it just wasn't happening for him. Bloodlust had officially transitioned into a chore and a burden as opposed to a challenge. This justified a break from the relenting willpower for Knobbelboy for a time, but soon after his lack of determination and drive to finish the level came at a controversial price. Following the 98% fail, Knobbelboy's views, growth and revenue stream and all the like were completely sorted by the God Eater video and the 98% fail video, and so he took a 2-month break from Geometry Dash to focus on school and also to go on holidays. At the end of this period he released a video for a 7.5 minute layout that clocked over 200,000 views in a few weeks, and despite rearing his head briefly in the Noctafly hacking drama, he'd only released 2 videos in about 5 months. His infrequent uploads were somewhat meaningful. He previewed levels, opened a creator contest and showcased his speed building, but Bloodlust progress was non-existent. His behaviour as a top player and an influential force began to anger many too, after he forcefully took Fusion Z against the host Manix's wishes to finish, a drama which divided the community and gave the feeling that Knobbelboy may have been getting ahead of himself. His inactivity was agitating many. He'd come so far within the first 6 months but did absolutely nothing in the second half of the year after coming within touching distance of his goal. Negative press shot up like a rocket. Some accused him of deliberately stalling to allow the 98% video to build hype. Some pointed out that he was no longer keeping up with the hardest levels and that Bloodlust was beginning to be trumped by other levels on the horizon. And there had already been a drama with Sonix over playing Bloodlust leaked copies without permission, but this topic would go on to be revived and fueled again when a new player came into the mix. A demoralised Knobbelboy had claimed that a game was something only to be played for fun and never as a chore, but a rising player named CeruZ disagreed. On February the 8th, after a continued lack of progress despite empty promises from Knobbelboy to finish the level, CeruZ took matters into his own hands, forcefully taking a copy of Bloodlust in order to verify it on the premise that Knobbelboy had simply taken too long and the community was owed a faster verification. His progress alarmed many too, doing in 8,500 attempts what had taken Knobbelboy 55,000. This split the entire community down the middle into two militias of Knobbelboy fans and Knobbelboy haters, with several big players giving their 2 cents in the debate. The drama also extended into claims of harassment and bullying when CeruZ and his friends leaked Knobbelboy's name by using it in stream titles for Bloodlust so to spite him. While hundreds had united against CeruZ, he managed to maintain supporters on a 50-50 basis on 2 justifications. The first was that it took too long, which sparked a debate on whether the community could truly be owed a level, and how entitled the community had become. The other was that Knobbelboy did the same thing to Fusion Z and was receiving a taste of his own medicine. However, it was established that 2 wrongs don't make a right, however ironic it was for Knobbelboy having his Manix level stolen after popularising stealing a level from Manix. Nonetheless, after relentless encouragement, the 2 talked it out and CeruZ agreed to stop. However, Knobbelboy admitted that it had been too long and that CeruZ had made him realise that, and what had been a dicey situation ended with him gaining a positive kick into life to do what he should have done in mid-year 2017. On the 20th of February, 12 days after the CeruZ drama began and a few days after resolving to finally finish the job, Knobbelboy verified Bloodlust after 120,000 attempts. It received 50,000 downloads in under 24 hours and was featured and rated epic almost immediately, before being placed at number 1 by community veteran Aeon Air soon after. Though many had claimed it had taken too long, Bloodlust has in fact been released before Sonic Wave Infinity, even though it was started later, and it is the only Manix project from that era that survived and remained fit for purpose, being the number 1 demon. It is the ultimate testimony that generally our sights were set far too high at the time thanks to the Bloodbath victory by Quasar and Sonic Wave's 98% fail by Mafui, but the biggest example of that has finally been dragged out of the dark and now sits at number 1 on the list almost 2 years after its creation. Now, Knobbelboy is remotivated again. This huge weight is off his back. He is growing at an insane rate and he will likely benefit from Bloodlust for many months to come. Though he may be looking to take a short break for relief, he will be back to complete his other projects and beat some of the hardest demons. We can look forward to the likes of God Eater, Ragnarok and Counter-Strike, and we may yet see him recapture some of that magic he was conjuring when he beat Bloodbath. With so much missed time, he will want to prove his long-term critics wrong and show he is truly one of the best. I'm sure he will do this in a big way. Whether Bloodlust will stay number 1 and for how long remains to be seen, but for now we can just be as glad as Knobbelboy himself that it's finally over. The drama, weight and pain have gone, and Bloodlust can now manifest itself into the community as a truly extreme demon. This once miniature rebirth idea, now turned into GD's biggest demon, might even be the catalyst for update 2.2. Only time will tell, but with so much out of the way now, we can look forward to this as a blank canvas as which to write the rest of GD history.